Trishs Treasures, affiliated with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast.
Hi, this is Trishs Treasures, and Trishs Treasures is affiliated with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. And today's topic is all about perceptions, how we perceive things, your point of view of things. So let's get into it. First things first, what is the definition of perception? What is the definition? So they have two up here, but I'm going to read the second one. Okay. You know what? Nah. I'm going to read the both of them. We can talk about both of the meanings real quick. We could talk about that. The first definition is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. Meaning like the way your five senses, right? The way you smell, see, like how you feel about something, what you heard about someone, you know? We use all those senses when we are trying to gather what we're looking at in either a person or ourselves or in a certain situation. For example, I took my exams 2 days ago, and I always judge how easy a test is going to be by the number of the questions. Should I do that? Sometimes it helps me. It helps encourage me that, you know what, this test is only 10 questions. It's fine. You know, it's going to be easy. But if you have a class like math or like chemistry that has a lot of formulas, it's kind of like if you have 10 questions and they're all written, that's a nightmare right there. That's a nightmare right there. So maybe I shouldn't have judged it because it was only 10 questions, that it would have been easy, you know? Because if you get 3 wrong, that's a 70, and one more is like a 60, and then, oh, it's, you might have to retake that one. But that's how I perceived my exam 2 days ago. I was like, okay, it's only 10 questions. This is easy, piece of cake. And when I finished taking it, because in my brain I was like, this is easy. It's only 10 questions. I know these answers. Like, I wasn't thinking I know these answers because I studied. I know these answers because it's only 10 questions. Isn't that crazy? Like, I only know the answers because it's only 10 questions. Like, what? So after that, right, I submit the exam, and I made a 70. And I was like, what? I thought I aced that. Like, huh? But the good thing about it is that she gave us like 2 attempts. So I was like, I don't like a 70 on my exam. I don't like that, man. Like, I'm better than a 70. So I go back in and I look at the questions that I was so sure that I got right. I was like, oh, I missed those? I really missed those? So I redid it, and like, one of the particular questions on there was about how babies, the order of how babies learn their motor skills, develop their motor skills, which means like how they move their fingers, them walking, lifting their heads, and things like that. Those sorts of things. And I thought I knew the order, like, because every time I take a early childhood development course, we always talk about some of the same things, and I've taken 14 of those so far to complete the course, and so I thought I've looked at this order so many times. I know what it is because I've been taking this because I've read this like 1,000 times in each different class because it's important. Again, me perceiving how easy it is by the number of times or the number of questions. And so I did that and I was like, oh, I got the order wrong. And so I retook it and it was the order that I thought it wasn't. And I made a 90. It's not a 70 anymore. I made a 90 on my exam. Thank God. Thank God. And that's a big part of perception. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. That's how perceptions work. Sometimes they are completely wrong. And that's okay. You know, that's fine. Some people get in a tizzy because of it. And the thing about perceptions is it's what you know, and it's like people say it's like a gut feeling, and sometimes we let our experience cloud our judgments, our future judgments. And for example, if you've had an experience with, let's say, at a birthday party, your auntie made a red velvet cake, and it was your first time trying a red velvet cake, and you tasted it, and it was dry, no moisture, it was falling apart. It had no flavor. Like it was not it. Like you didn't like it. And it's like that's your first impression of a red velvet cake that you've never tried before. You tried it once and that was your first impression of, okay, do I like red velvet cake or not? And you tried it and you're like, no, I don't. I don't like it. But you haven't tried someone else's red velvet cake before. You haven't tried other ones that were not so dry and they were perfect. And that one experience with red velvet cake from your auntie or the auntie was the only experience you had, and you don't want to have it again because you didn't like how it tasted from that point in time. But someone will say, well, you haven't had my red velvet cake. Have you tried this kind before? And it makes you wonder, was that not the general flavor of red velvet cake? And that's how it is with perceptions. We gather how we feel from our first impression of things. And that brings us to the second definition of perception, which is a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, or a mental impression. So, this definition has three parts to perception. The second definition, which is understanding, interpreting something, and mental impression. So, let's talk about understanding. Understanding in perception has a lot to do with listening and observing people and observing yourself, listening to you, because in my life, I've had a lot of perceptions of myself because I was gathered and taken aback by the first impressions that people had on me. And so it got into my mental impression of myself. So I tried so hard not to give off the perception of what they were seeing. So I decided to change myself for them. Like I would sneak clothes to school. Like I would put on the clothes that my mom had ready for the next day, right? But I would sneak something new in there that I thought would be better looking. And the thing is, I did all that, but nobody complimented me. That I didn't get the newfound perception of me that I wanted. It didn't turn out the way that I planned. They still treated me wrong. So, in my mind, like that was pointless. And to top it off, I got in trouble. I got caught. I got caught. And I never did it again. But just thinking about it now, the way that I took other people's impressions of me or perceptions of me, I wish I could have told myself, like, girl, listen, you are wonderfully made. Okay? You are, no matter the drip that you have, meaning the clothes, the style, the fashion, no matter the clothes that you wear, it doesn't justify why you're in school in the first place, which is to get an education. Like that's the main goal when you go to school. Get an education and also practice some social skills. And one of those is not changing yourself for other people, especially in the wrong way, which isn't to like please other people or to fit in. That's just my perspective. But yeah, so because of that, because of that, I lost understanding of me. Like I lost the vision within why am I dressing like this? Because I understood why. I got it, but they didn't get it. And I wanted them to understand. I wanted them to get the first part of that definition. But it was their understanding wasn't the true understanding of me. It wasn't my truth. And so can any of you relate to that? Can any of you relate to that? Because I know there are so many people that have been through what I've been through, trying to fit in, trying to be popular like the rest of them, rest of the popular people. But that's another thing too. That's the perception of them. I thought they were popular, but like as I got older, I saw that they were going through their own things too. As I got the newfound, like I keep saying, the newfound perception, I realized that they're going through their stuff too. They're not just popular people, they're people. They're humans. They go through stuff just like you. They're wearing hand me down clothes just like you. It doesn't seem like that, but they do. So the next part of this definition is interpreting something. So interpret means to explain the meaning or information by information or actions. So or it could mean translating. So when you have your personal point of view of something, we often turn it into our own meaning, like how they say something. I have done this a lot of times, especially through text messages, because it's like how you're reading it is not how that person is saying that. It's not. It's just your point of view of how it sounds. For example, if I say, "Hi, how are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I have a busy day." That's like three sentences, right? And if someone's like, "Hey, how does that make you feel?" Sometimes that can sound as if they don't have the same energy to talk to me as I have to talk to them. Because to me, that sounds like I'm taking the time out of my busy day to text you to let you know I'm not going to communicate with you like that, but I just want to know how you are before I start my day. I feel like that's considerate. And I expect them to be considerate back. And them just saying, "Hey," it's like, "Do you care? Do you care how I'm doing?" But they didn't say they didn't care about me because I don't know. They didn't tell me about their day. They didn't say that their day's busy. It might be their day is more busy than mine. So all they had time to do is say, "Hey," because they're heading into the office right now. You never know. And sometimes I've trained myself. I practice not jumping to those guarded and defensive conclusions that nobody cares as much as I do and those sorts of things because I've been in that situation before and I'm so guarded that you don't have to show me any actions that you don't care about me that I'm just going to put up the defenses anyway because I am not getting hurt today. I'm not doing that. And sometimes that ruins friendships and that ruins people's perceptions of you as a good friend or a good sister, brother, mom, or dad, cousin, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, you know? Sometimes that ruins the perception of you. I know that we always discuss that people's points of views of you is sometimes it shouldn't drive you to be who you are. It shouldn't. But it's important to take a look at ourselves and see how we're treating other people and how it's affecting them to be towards you because how you are towards them, it's a reflection. It's like ping pong. the other the person with the racket is hitting the ping pong ball and they're hitting it back to you. So it's the same thing. It's a reflection. They're your mirror. They may not look like you and they may not wear the same clothes and have the same hairstyle, but that is a reflection of your actions. So that's their interpretation of how they should treat you because that's how you're treating them. So let's be mindful. And that ties in with expectations versus perceptions. And they kind of balance each other out. And then sometimes they don't because you can have your first impression can create expectations as well. Like if you look at a doctor, you expect him to be a good doctor. You expect him to know his stuff, to be educated in his field, to understand what you were saying when you were telling him what's hurting you, what's wrong with you. And that is a good expectation. But also, reason is important to have in the middle of those two. Reason. Because sometimes our expectations and our perceptions, they they make sense mentally because like how we say put two and two together, or how people say two plus two equals four. It looks just like that. Like if you see someone walking in the same direction as you and they're making the same turns as you think that they're following you or they're going to the same area as you. Or it could just mean that they have to take the same route that you're taking to get to their destination. It has nothing to do with you, you know? So It's important to have reason with perception and expectation. After this discussion, I've been wondering what are the important questions to ask. The important questions to ask myself, and what questions can you ask yourself? So, because it's me, I'm going to ask me. Okay. Um you can ask yourself these questions too if you choose to, but the questions that resonate with you, you can ask those to yourself. So, the first question that I have for me is, what is my perception of me? What is my impression of me? So, to answer that question, my perception of myself is I am trying very hard. I try hard at everything that I do, and I want other people to see it, but if they don't see it, it gets me down. But then again, I sit and I reflect. I'm a person that reflects. So if I'm thinking that because other people don't see my accomplishments or they don't see that I'm trying, I don't want it to fully affect me to the point where I give up, to the point where I stop. And another perception of me, when I look at me, I think that I have a lot of things on my mind. I like to think. I'm always in thought. I look like I'm in my head a lot when I look at myself. And that's true. I am. Are those perceptions true? They are. They are. And I can work on expecting 1,000 when some days I'm only capable of giving 95%. I'm only capable of doing that. So, and that is okay. That's fine. The second question I have for me is, what what do I expect from myself? And I expect myself to continue to put effort in everything I do, continue to try my best, and I expect myself to persevere, keep going. And lastly, I expect myself to keep hope, keep faith in everything that I do, because that is the main fuel within me: faith, hope, and also the passion. So, thank you for listening to Trish's Treasures. And again, Trish's Treasures is affiliated with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Hi, this is Trishs Treasures, affiliated with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast.